All right, stop. Grammar time. So today for writing, we're going to focus on grammar some more. Yesterday we did some stuff with correlative conjunctions. Now this week we're going to continue adding some grammatical kind of features into our writing. Specifically, we're going to look at prepositions today. So we're going to learn how to use prepositions in our writing, look at some examples, and then you are actually, when you are drafting, even if you're done with your final draft, what you think is final, at least done with your rough draft, you're going to go back in and add some prepositions today. So remember, prepositions, there's three different areas in your writing where you would use prepositions. So location-wise, before I go to school, behind the school, below the cupboard, between, by, in, inside, near, on, over, through. All of those are position ones. Prepositions are positions. Think of that, on the counter, over the rainbow, through the woods. So you have this where you're going and it's a specific location. Now, prepositions can also be related to time, where you think about when did you do something, after, before, during the movie, from, on, past, since, to, until, upon. These are all things that tell time-wise when something happens. And then there's also movement prepositions, where things are actually changing position, with movements. I ran along the path. The ball rolled down the hill. Against, from, into, off, on, toward, up. These are all examples of movement happening. So location, time, or movement. We're going to watch a video here that explains and reviews this idea of prepositions that you should already have a pretty solid foundation about.
Hey grammarians, I want to talk about prepositions, but before I do, I'm going to draw you a little hamster. Is it a hamster? Is it a tiny bear? Who knows? We're just going to call it a hamster, a little rodent-type creature. Now I'm going to use this critter to establish what prepositions are and what they do, because in addition to there being a hamster, there's also going to be this box. So what prepositions do is they establish relationships between stuff in place and time. So it can show us where things are, when things are, and how things are. Let me demonstrate. So using just this hamster and this box, we can move this box around and talk about how the hamster relates to the box. Right, so right now, the box is under the hamster. Let's write that down. Right, the box is under the hamster. That word under is a preposition because it's establishing this relationship of where. It's connecting the box to the hamster. The box is under the hamster. But if I move it up like so, now we can say the box is over the hamster. But let's get rid of the box. And let's imagine that our hamster is having a midlife crisis. And our hamster decides it's going to go out and it's going to splurge on a fabulous new hat. Just an enormous top hat. Little band in the center. Just a big, old, silly Abe Lincoln-style stovepipe top hat. Ding. Now another use for prepositions is we can talk about when things are in relation to each other. So I could say before the hamster got the hat and after the hamster got the hat. Right? And these words after and before express relationships in time. But another interesting thing that prepositions can do is they can also help express how something is, or how what it's for, what its use is. So we could say that this hat is for parties, or is for wearing at parties. Oh, and at also is a preposition. This hat is for wearing at parties. So this is the how, and this part is the where. So what's the purpose of the hat? Well, we established that with the word for. The hat is for wearing. And where is it supposed to be worn? At parties. That's the where. We can also use a word like of to express the how relationship. And that's just sort of to say what belongs to whom. So we could say, that is the hat of the hamster. That is the hat of the hamster. So that's what prepositions are in the most basic sense. They can help you figure out what the relationship is between two things in time and space, or how one thing relates to another. So you can figure out when, where, and how using prepositions. You can learn anything. David out.
So as we look at prepositions, what you're going to do,
I want to talk about prepositions.
Sorry about that. What you're going to do is, if you have not finished up your informational writing piece about your civil rights leader, that is something you should be wrapping up. And in your draft, even if you have finished, either way, as you're finishing or if you have finished your draft, I want you to go back and add 2 to 3 examples of prepositions. It's hard not to have prepositions, so potentially you already have them and you just have to identify them, but you're going to highlight these sentences in yellow that you had last week or yesterday. You had to do some with correlative conjunctions and highlight. Now today you're highlighting, but you're using yellow to highlight to show. And I'm actually going to be looking for these when I grade your piece and look through your draft. So I want you to make sure you have identified at least 2 to 3. 2 is the minimum. 2 to 3. You don't have to do every single one you come across. So either 2 or 3 prepositions. Highlight the entire sentence. So finish up your draft of oratorical. Also, time yourself. You should not spend a lot of time each day on oratorical. Each day just a little bit. It should not be super time consuming, but you should be wrapping up your oratorical speech. Time how long it is, adjust it. If it's less than 2 minutes, add a little bit more detail. If it's under 3 minutes, you're in good shape. But if it's over, take a few things out and maybe start making note cards and start practicing just a little bit each day. We still have plenty of time, but I don't want you to put it off. I want you to do a little bit each day for oratorical. All right? You guys have a great day. Work hard.